You're listening to the Womanpreneur Podcast. Empowerment in business and life.
Welcome back to the Womanpreneur Podcast. My name is Melissa Moats, and I'm with my partner in crime, Amanda McEwen.
Hello, and we have a very special guest with us today. This is Michele Morgan-Devore. She is a Las Vegas entrepreneur, the owner of Morgan Specialties, and the founder of Dinosaurs and Roses.
Lovely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. We are very excited to learn more about what you do. We're overall theme that we're talking about today is going to be acts of kindness, which we definitely need more of in the world. But we kind of want to know a little bit about your backstory and how you got to where you are now. So.
Okay, my pleasure.
All right.
It's absolutely my pleasure. So about 10 years ago, well, actually, I should probably back up to being a little girl.
Okay.
Might as well start from the beginning.
Absolutely.
I was very fortunate that my father was a very big philanthropist. And growing up, philanthropy and doing good things for people that didn't have enough was always a very important part of my upbringing. And so long story, now we can advance to adulthood. I've always done things, that donated things or tried to help, or I've always had a soft spot in my heart for people that maybe had less. And when we had the recession in 2008 and we had the real estate bust and everybody was losing everything, somebody came to me and said, we're trying to put together this little thrift store to maybe help people who are less fortunate. Would you be interested in doing it? And I'm like, wow, yeah, that sounds great. Well, let me just put this little thing together. And it turned out to be 35,000 square feet of just little thing.
Tiny.
Yes, just tiny. And it started as, people would come in and say, well, I only have 25 cents. Can I have a pair of jeans? Or I've lost everything. And these are really nice people who have come in and say, I've lost everything, I don't know what to do. They're not the people that you would expect to find. We all have a vision of homeless people, and maybe there's mental disease associated with that, or just some really bad luck. But these are the really nice middle-class people who said, I've just lost my job, I've lost my house, I've lost everything. So we put together this program where based on referral service, which could be anything from Help of Southern Nevada, Nevada 211, the Rape Crisis Center, the Problem Gambling Center, or any professional in this city can send a referral in, and even the nice next door neighbor could say, hey, you know what, my neighbors just had a fire, they lost this, they lost that, and we will offer assistance to anyone who needs it.
Wow.
So
That is so nice.
Thank you. We open our doors on Monday and Tuesday, and we're located on Charleston between Jones and Decatur. And on Mondays and Tuesdays, we open our doors for referrals, and people come in and shop for free with dignity. They pick what they like, and they can have, whatever their needs are. And that's our program that has plummeted over the last 10 years. Yeah. And it's just grown and grown and grown and grown. And we've helped thousands and thousands of people that we were able to give assistance.
That's gotta feel so good.
It's really great. I did something else that was called the street store, which some people might be familiar with, where we opened up a store on in the middle of downtown, and we just gave away tons and tons and tons of clothes to the homeless people that were not able to become a part of our referral service. So we've done that, and I don't turn anyone away. That's the nice thing. I think that it's so difficult to get assistance in this town, and I've had so many people call me that say, we've tried to get on lists, and we went down to the city, and they say there's a 6 month to a year waiting list for some assistance, and my kids are sleeping on the floor. Well, you know what? We bring everyone in that needs help, and we help them immediately. I can't tell you how many Saturdays or Sundays I've had to run down there because a girl came in wrapped up only in a sheet and said, I ran away from an abusive situation, and this is all I have, and we've gotten clothes and basic necessities together for her.
So, in addition to clothes and basic necessities, do you guys have any? What's everything that you have in your 35,000 square feet? I mean, do you have things for people's homes? I know you mentioned like people losing things in fires and stuff like that.
Right. Well, okay, let me just back up and correct you. So that was the 35,000 square feet was how we started.
Okay.
Now we have moved our operation from there, and we actually have a warehouse that's 20,000 square feet.
Wow.
And we have a store that's 8,000 square feet.
Oh my gosh.
And that's the store that's on Charleston.
Okay.
So that's
Gotcha.
that's the store. So I just want to, I don't want someone to
Clarify.
come and clarify.
Yeah, no,
I'm all
glad
about being clear.
No,
man,
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah. So what we have in the store is a plethora of treasures. We have everything from brand new furniture that was donated to us from the World Market Center, which is like amazing things, to antiques. And it's become a real treasure trove. And then we have racks of clothes and shoes and books and electronics and everything that you would find in a thrift store, but a lot of things that you would find in a boutique also.
Wow.
So we also have a lot of wonderful boutique items and brand new home decor that we've gotten. We've been really fortunate with our relationship with the World Market, and the vendors there love what we do. They think it's great. And then the community reaches out to us quite a bit, and people have donated entire estates of their loved ones, all the way down to just, driving by, hey, let me bring these bags of things in.
It's really good to know about because I was sharing with Amanda before we met with you today. And when I first started the Voice Actor Studio, our business, I was trying to reach out and get involved and try to do, as much community support and help as we could. And initially it started with, it was around the holiday season and a group of us wanted to do some singing. Like we wanted to go and carol and just, bring some holiday cheer and magic, just kind of old fashioned fun.
Yeah.
And I was reaching out to all kinds of different places and saying, we want to help. We want to help in different ways. And this was one of the ways that we came up with. And I was telling Amanda, I was having such a hard time finding places. I was doing so much Googling for Henderson and Las Vegas and different ways that we could donate our time and donate our help and donate, in many ways. And I was telling Amanda, I was surprised at how hard it was for me to find different places that I could just volunteer or help. And I don't know if it was because the way I was doing the searches but I tried to think of every possible way. But what's your thought on that with the different ways that people want to get involved and help, and what advice you would give them being involved in what you've been doing for so long?
Well, I think it is difficult. And I think that part of the reason is a lot of the charities are this layer and layer and layer of, I don't want to use the word red tape, but procedure, let's call it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like a lot of the other agencies, I have the same thing. People come to me and they say, you know what, my kid has to do X amount of hours of community service, and they won't take him because of what he did. Or you know what, I have a DUI and they won't take me. Or someone comes and says, I have some domestic violence, but I'm really not a violent person. This was a situation, and they won't have me. I think that a lot of the other charities, and of course I can't speak individually, I can only speak from my experience of what people tell me, they're so caught up in their rules and regulations that they just don't give anybody a break. For me and for what we do, we give everyone a chance because everyone deserves a second chance.
Yes.
I don't think that the kid that stole a beer out of 7-Eleven is really a bad kid. I think
He made a bad choice.
Made a bad choice, and he was testing the limits.
Yep.
I don't think that when two brothers were fighting over another girl and they punched each other out, and I don't think that they're bad brothers. I think that they just have a little anger management that needs to be dealt with.
The hormones we're talking.
Exactly. But now that's a battery charge, and now they're unacceptable.
Yeah.
So I think that that's part of the bad criteria, let's say, that people that want to donate their time or need to do community service are doing it from the heart.
Yeah.
And there is such a shortage of from the heart. I know we really have a hard time getting volunteers that want to come just for the greater good. And that's, I think, a reflection of our society that we have now, because I just have so many feelings about the way the kids are being raised, and they're not teaching kindness in school. I remember being a little girl and the teacher would say, everybody has to be kind to each other, and if you weren't kind, then you got to sit in the corner with the dunce cap on. That stuff doesn't exist anymore.
I know. Well, and kindness is so important. I mean, it's one of those things where, I don't know, whenever I see anyone being unkind or being completely stuck in their phone and not, what's the word I'm looking for? Engaged with other people. Yes. It's one of those things where it's like, just be present and interact and say hello and smile and, just be here in the moment.
Well, and that just comes to basic people skills that we're lacking now, because people don't communicate, and they go through the store and they use the automated machines, or if they do see a person, they don't know how to talk to them anymore. And when we're talking about acts of kindness, a lot of times it doesn't have to be something that takes a lot of time or money. It could be as easy as just having a quick conversation with the person in front of you, saying something nice about them, or just sometimes engaging, because they're dealing with people coming through all the time. Like, I'm always really nice to the people at the DMV, because I feel like they probably don't get a lot of nice people in their day, because people don't want to be there and they're angry.
Yeah,
and it's not that person's fault. The person's just doing a job. So I'm Melissa Moats nice at the DMV, which is hard to be.
Apparently that's a big deal.
Melissa is very much known for her kindness. But I feel that is what's lacking, is people don't know how to communicate with each other, can't make eye contact, and it becomes everybody's so self-involved that they forget everybody else is going through stuff too. Right. And you just don't know that how much that's just saying one nice thing, like your skin looks great. How could that change your entire day and the direction that you're going?
Or something as simple as some old-fashioned, manners, like opening the door for someone, or if you see someone dropping something, picking it up, or helping someone load something into their car. It's just, it doesn't take much effort or much time, but it's just, again, being really present in that moment. And I read an article recently that just kind of broke my heart a little bit. It said, don't worry so much about what everybody's thinking about, do you, because nobody's thinking about you anyway. And that was pretty much the article. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, appalled and offended and awakened. And I was like, which way should I go with that word? Which one's the proper one?
Whichever one sounds good to you.
You guys know where I'm going with that.
You do.
But I was thinking to myself, that's a terrible thought, to think that everyone's just thinking about themselves. So the gist of the article was, do you, don't worry what other people think about you, which was kind of a nice message. But on the other hand, it was like, no one's thinking about you anyway. Everybody's just self-absorbed now.
Yeah. That's the word that I was going to say.
Yeah.
There is such a sense of people being self-absorbed and almost self-entitled, where I am just too good to do something nice for someone else. I'll tell you what, I drove through the Coffee Bean about 2 weeks ago, and the lady said, oh, the lady in front of you already paid for you. I almost had a heart attack on the spot.
Yeah.
I was like,
what? That stuff is so fun.
I was like, that is really powerful.
Yeah.
And I mean, my coffee was $3.18. It was just a regular little cup of coffee. And it really, I wished I would have known who she was to say thank you or express something. But then there was such beauty in it, because I couldn't go and find her and say, oh, thank you so much.
And I bet you talked about it all day.
I talked about it all day, and I paid for the guy behind me.
Oh, I love that. You paid it forward.
I did. And I was like, because I wanted him to feel like what that felt like. for a total stranger to just engage that way and take the barrier of the car and really make my morning. It was like so nice. But I think also, going back to kids, and parents are so busy just trying to make it. They are just trying to make it that I don't know that there's enough emphasis being placed on do unto others, be kind, help someone. There's, the bullying thing. I think that people are so focused on the be safe at school, don't bully, don't do this. They forget the don't, but they forget do.
Set the example, to be the role model,
Exactly.
to show this is how it's done, and not just talk about it every once in a while like, oh yeah, there's this thing called volunteering. It's really nice. It's for people who aren't busy.
That's what's kind of funny. I mean, that it's for people who aren't busy. But even when I had a job, I volunteered at the animal shelters in town. And that was, even if I could only go on Saturdays, that was always a big thing for me. Because I have a lot of sympathy for animals and want to make sure they're taken care of. And it was like, I have extra time, I can do this. Why not do something that helps? And those are some of the best people that I ever met, were the other volunteers there. Because they're taking time out of their day to go, and you're not just there playing with animals, like you're cleaning up after them, and it's work, but it's rewarding work. And some of the best days would have these clear the shelter days, and people would line up, and it was just we would get to meet these people, and they would tell their stories about why they needed this animal in their life, and it was all over the place. But for somebody who's not a very social person like myself, I got a lot out of going to talk to other volunteers and just the people who were there, getting an animal that, something bad happened in their family and they wanted to bring some joy with this, little critter or whatever. But yeah, it just, there was something different in the people who were there, because even if it's only a few hours, you're just giving yourself without really, and I know that people say there's no such thing as a selfless act, because if you do nice things and you feel good about it, you're still getting something out of it. But it was just that. It's like, look at all these people who are here just helping, just because they want to do something nice. Right. But a lot of times I hear from other people, like, I would love to volunteer, but it would be too hard to see the animals or take care of the sick people or see, there's all these reasons. I don't have any time. I don't have any money. And that's when I think it comes to those little acts of kindness that if you think you don't have the time or the money, there's still something that you can do.
Right. You can smile at someone and buy them a cup of coffee, because that was really beyond for me. That was like, wow, this is really amazing. This is what they talk about. And, I volunteer a lot of my time because of, what I do with the charity, and, facilitate as many different programs as we do. We have another program where we send children to private school. We collect money for our scholarship program, and we collect children that are within 300% of the poverty level, and we send them to private school. And these kids never dreamed of the opportunity to go to private school. Right. Wow. Because these are our next leaders in Nevada, and this is our future. So I'm involved with those programs, and then we're coming up with a brand new program where we are going to send little girls that want to be a ballerina to learn how to dance. Oh, wow. So we're trying to encompass not only the people that are in the poverty level that really need the basic necessities, but that little girl that just wants that dream of, I want to be a ballerina when I grow up. And then there she is, and she's going to get the chance to go. So we have a lot of different programs. So I'm always looking to see how we can better our future and our little kids. But I think a lot of it has to do with starting at home.
Yeah.
And I have to say the children that I see a lot of, they're just not getting the direction that they need.
Yeah. And also, too, it seems like, more and more families more and more kids, it seems, are growing up without a mom and a dad in the household.
Right.
You know, I mean, it just seems like those numbers are, you know, going up and up and up, where there are more kids, more single parents, you know, raising kids. And I think that's really hard too, because, you know, you've got single mom, single dad working really hard, trying to do everything that they can do. But the time, it's that time that the one thing that the kid needs is that time and support and that example shown. And it's not necessarily that the parent doesn't want to do that. It's just they're doing their best to try to provide and do other things. So
a lot of times, even if it's a 2-parent family, whatever those 2 parents
true.
might be, it's so hard for people to make a living that both parents are out working and the kids are left. That's why I'm always grateful that my mom, she didn't go to work. She stayed home and took care of us when we were in, you know, until she and my father got divorced. But that, all those early years until I was 8, I think, or a little bit older, she was there with us. So we didn't have babysitters. We weren't put into daycare. Awesome. If we had somebody babysitting us, it was a family member. We grew up with that. And I think it makes a huge, huge difference. Just in, not to say that there's anything wrong with if you're working and you can't do that. I know a lot of women want to keep their careers, and choices are perfectly fine, but I'm very glad that I had my mom home, you know, to set that example. And both parents, they just encouraged us to do good, was basically all it was. It was not this specific expectation, you have to get straight A's, you have to do this, just do your best. And by doing our best, we wanted to get straight A's and do all those things. And there was no reward other than being better people, which is a pretty good reward.
Of the fact that you did your best, and that's a beautiful thing. You triggered a thought that I wanted to touch on, as far as, you know, just with, like, for example, the ballerinas helping, you know, little girls who want to dance. I would definitely recommend to our listeners and viewers, you know, giving of yourself in a way of, if you have a business, or you have a special skill, or just some time to give. One of my favorite things to do to try to help is, our studio is give experiences. So we've had the Nevada Blind Children's Association here. We had a bunch of really just awesome, fun, talented kids who came in. We've also worked with autistic children. That these are kids who have been so curious about voiceover and so curious about, you know, doing an animated cartoon voice, or just having the experience of recording their voice and having some fun. It's really a really just empowering and enlightening experience to see what they get to do through their eyes and just kind of experience it with them. And I remember when we were doing these like field trips, if you would, everyone was thanking us for the experience, and I felt kind of guilty because I felt like I was the person who was given the gift, you know. And I had such a great time sharing our space and what we do, and they learned something. They felt inspired and full when they left. So if you have a business, or you have something that might make for a really fun field trip or a fun experience or fun opportunity, I encourage you to, you know, open up your heart and your time and invite people, because it's just, you'll be surprised. It's a gift for everyone involved, I think.
Yeah, no, that's great. We also love to bring in kids and do like a done in a day project. We give them a big job to do, whether it's a paint job or then they all get in, or a big sorting job.
And that's fun.
We've had a couple of school kids. We've had like Chaparral High School come in, and the UNLV has a great program where they do volunteer like in the fall and in the spring. And they sent us like 30 volunteers to help clean up our warehouse. Wow. So I understand what you're saying about opening up, and they are just so fun, and it's so wonderful to have that fresh energy.
It's infectious.
It is very infectious.
Yeah, everyone just kind of, it just goes all around. Everybody's just like lighting up.
And I remember when they came to the warehouse, like when we were almost done, they started like to do a break dance, and I was like, wow, that is really fresh to see. That. It's really, really nice.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
Wow. I'm feeling inspired right now.
You know, one of the things you had said was that you let them shop with dignity at your store. And that's a thing that I think goes a long way, is that we forget, not we, but in general, sometimes people forget that these people who are struggling, it might not be as extreme as homelessness, and it might not be the result of poor choices. When the economy went down, it just affected everybody. And so it's that judgment that comes with it sometimes, or the embarrassment some people have. They don't want to ask for help and think, I need a little bit of extra help here. Or have either of you watched the Kindness Diaries on Netflix?
Yes.
Nuts.
Oh,
The best thing.
Sounds like something I need to see.
Yes, it's this guy, his name is Leon Logothetis, and he there's 2 seasons now, and he travels around the world with no money, and he has to rely on the kindness of strangers for places to stay, for food, for all of that. He has a beat up car that he drives each season, but what happens almost every time, it's the people who have the least who end up giving the most. There was one episode, I mean, there was a guy who, because he's just out there asking people, can I stay with you tonight? Can you help me buy this meal? And there was a guy who didn't have a place to live at the time. He was homeless. He opened up a spot in his area for Leon to go. And he ends up giving back, of course, at the end.
Right.
So it's one of those. But
That's the fun reveal at the end is in each episode. So he'll find a way that he can very greatly help that person who really had so little, who gave so much, to repay the kindness like tenfold. And I mean, I cry. I watch that show and I'm like, I can't wait to see what's going to happen.
There's somebody I met here at a film event, and he told me about it. He's friends with a guy, and he's just like, you need to watch this. And I binge watched the first season, I think in one day or something like that.
Okay,
But
well,
it was
I know
so
what
good.
I'm going to do this weekend.
You're going to love it. You're going to love it.
And I've recommended this to other people and they're short episodes. I think they're 30 minutes or less, but it just makes you feel good. Because there's somebody out there, and he's showing you the good sides in humanity, that not everybody has turned bad and selfish, and there are people who are willing to help. And sometimes maybe somebody just needs to ask.
Right. Well, you said we talk about dignity, which is something that most people that have, the more you have, the more dignity you may feel you have. But when your time comes that you've either lost everything or you've lost a piece of yourself, I've had professional people who were sent to prison, and then they come out and they're somebody else, and they have lost now. They've lost. Oh, I used to be a CPA, or I used to be an attorney, or I used to be this, or I used to be that, and then I went to prison, and now I have just these shoes and these sneakers, and I'm going to need some help. I think it's almost like you lose so much of yourself that when you're able to gain some control, like say, okay, you know what, you shop and you get whatever you need, rather than me saying, well, here's a bag of stuff, take it. You don't like it, too bad. You know?
Yeah.
And you're able to make these choices again for yourself or your family, and have the little kids come and pick what they want. It's such a self-esteem builder, because you've really gone really down the ladder on the emotional scale of especially coming from this place and going down and down and down, and oh man, and then you're finally asking for help where maybe you would not have been that person to ask for help. So I think that dignity in getting something is really, really important, so that the person is not feeling like, oh, this is a handout.
Yeah.
It really helps build their esteem, and it maybe gives them a feeling that there are good people in the world, and there are places where you can go to get help, and it's not a crime or a shame. And I think it also takes the shame away from it. Right. So I think that's an important part.
You're helping people rebuild. Rebuild from inside out, outside in. I mean, it's all encompassing. So I mean, what a gift.
But I do have to ask, why Dinosaurs and Roses?
Okay.
That's a fantastic name.
Okay.
I need to know why.
Okay. So when we started this little program, we were looking for the perfect name, you know, junk in the desert, stuff, reuse, repurpose was done again. So I came up with dinosaurs because we take the dinosaurs that live in your closet and your attic and underneath your bed and in your cupboards and all those places that we hide those dinosaurs, and we turn them into roses waiting to be picked by someone else.
I had a feling it was going to be a good story.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so it's just something that's catchy.
Yes.
And that people, I mean, so many people go, Guns and Roses, Dinosaurs and Dragons, all those names that you know that have been put together as rock bands.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that place. But they get it,
Dinosaurs and Roses.
They get it,
Yeah,
and if they Yelp us or they try to find us, oh yeah, that's the one.
I love it.
It's a memorable name, too.
Yeah.
I like the visual that just popped in my mind when I heard Dinosaurs and Roses. It's just real cartoony and happy and just, I don't know, just I wish I could describe the visual for you, but it's really nice.
Well, our logo is that dinosaur holding a rose.
Yeah.
And I know you had mentioned in the email that you sent me that you loved my tagline, touching one life at a time.
Yes, I do.
And I think we have two taglines. Our tagline for the store says, "Nothing is extinct until we say it is."
I like that too.
That's
good branding.
That's
Such good.
It's like
I'm in the
a few
advertising
things about
business.
branding.
wow, you know some things.
I know some things about the advertising.
I love it.
But so the first thing is nothing is extinct until we say it is, because literally you can find a way to repurpose and reuse just about anything.
Yeah.
You know,
and when you have nothing, it's like it's just it's a game changer.
exactly. When I have a little granddaughter, and one of the best toys that I have is the empty roll of the paper towel.
Yeah. Oh, those are great.
Sword fights.
We can
And boxes that things come in.
Do that, yes. I punch little holes in it and make a little flute, or I sing a song out of it.
So cute.
So I have, being in this business, I've used like my creative energy to sort of think, how could I repurpose, that paper cup or those dried flowers, or how can I redo that, or what can we do with it? And I like to give some ideas to people.
Yeah.
When they come in and they see some old shelf. Well, what is that old shelf can do? Well, you could sand it and you can paint it and you can do different things. But getting back to what I was saying before, our Touching One Life at a Time logo is really, I always use the example that there's nothing wrong with donating, sending a check to one of the associations or the cancer groups,
Right.
But you just send a check in and then you wonder, where is my $10 or where is my $100 or where's my $1,000 going?
Yeah.
For us, you can come in and see that shirt that you donated last week on a Monday is probably going to be given away to someone who really, really needs it.
Oh,
and
love
we're
that.
you can donate and then we can touch one life with it. And that's really all that matters, is at the end of the day, there's a difference. You don't have to wonder where is all this money going, and
Right.
Who's getting an executive salary of $693,000.
Yeah.
We don't have any of that.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
very plain and simple and very transparent. You're going to give us something, we're going to make sure that it gets reused to someone who needs it.
Well, a couple thoughts popped into my head when you were just sharing all that. And one thing is, really don't ever overlook anything that you have at home that you might think is worthless, that you might not have a use for anymore or need, and think, I don't know what I'm going to do this. Nobody's going to want this piece of junk or whatever. I'm just going to throw it away. It just goes to show you, like you said, all of the thought and creativity and ideas that go into what can I do with this? How could this be repurposed, or how could this be used? Don't decide that your stuff is worthless. Take it to someone, take it to you and let you pay it forward and help someone, you'll come up with an idea for them,
Right,
or
absolutely.
someone will know when they see it, oh my goodness, I needed that. So it's just a thought.
Like, my stepmom has that ability. She goes and finds at thrift stores pieces of furniture, and she will take her time and sand it and stain it and make it something that started as what seems like maybe just an eyesore and make it into something very beautiful. And there's I envy crafty people like that, because I see it in my head sometimes, but I never make the time for those projects.
Yeah, it's hard.
You never know, because there are people who can take something that might not be of use to you, but it could make a big difference to them. And also, you're saying it one person at a time. That one person that you do something nice for, chances are, and I hope this is true for the most part, but that sticks with somebody, and then they want to do that for somebody else when they have the opportunity later. And so it is that idea of paying it forward. And I think if more of us were doing that and saying, again, and not just writing a check and not necessarily just spending the time, but really doing something, even if it impacts one person, that impact can have a far reach. You could turn the trajectory of somebody's life around.
Absolutely.
Like you're talking about these kids that get to go to private school. I mean, that could be a huge game changer for them. That level of education that's going to turn their lives around from maybe being a bit of a struggle to now, I know how to do more things, or I have the knowledge. And now there are different opportunities that become available because they got to go to a different school.
Well, and they also get to have accelerated programs and be exposed to other things that they probably, everybody's just trying to survive. And this is taking survival up to the next level, where you're saying, okay, I know at home things might be rough and you might not have all the things that everyone else has, but what you're going to have is an education. There was the old saying, you can teach the guy to fish, or you could give him a fish or teach him a fish.
Yeah, feed him for a day or teach him so he can feed himself for a lifetime.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's the important lesson with good education, is just being able to expand the mind and expand the experience.
And also think about too that those kids who are being helped, that they will grow into being leaders, and they will grow into doing great things and helping other people. They're going to remember that someone else's giving spirit and time was that gift that was given to them. They're going to pay it forward. You just know they will.
I know that they will. I know from the letters that I get, and they send me their report cards, and they send me little pictures in their school uniforms, and it's so rewarding. That's the part that, when I get the mail, after you shove the bills aside and you see, little Johnny or little Mary with their school uniform and I've gotten so many wonderful hand-drawn pictures, thanking me for being a part of this program, where they get the opportunity. That becomes really rewarding, and that's what I love about it. And I even love, we have had several Holocaust survivors that have come, that came from some of the agencies in town. And these are very old people that, a lot of them had experiments done to them and couldn't have children. And now here they are, they're 80s, 90s, they're in their seniors, and they have nothing. And just, we talk a lot about the children, but we also don't realize how many seniors that are out there that getting old, and maybe they've gone through all their money, or they have no family, no children, or their spouses have passed on. There are so many people out there in so many different categories that need help. That's, again, part of our touching one life at a time.
You really don't know what people are going through. And that's one thing that popped in my head, is just judging people as far as, you just don't know what someone's life experience is, or if they've gone through a really hard time, or if they're going through a really hard time. And just always being kind comes back to the kindness, and always looking outside of yourself and looking at other people, and sometimes just doing your best to anticipate someone else's need. It's being so aware of someone else, even a stranger, and observing that, they need shoes, or observing that they could be hungry, things like that. And and seeing what you can do. Something so small can be so big, but you just never know what people are going through.
Why do you think, because I mean, I obviously have my own theories, but why do you think being kind is lost its art?
It's such a tough one. It's such a good conversation. You know, I think part of it might be just people, maybe there's like a rumor that people want to believe that kindness doesn't exist anymore. So they decide that they're not going to participate either. You know, I mean, I know that's kind of a wild thing to say, but I don't know. I mean, I want to believe that there's a lot of kindness out there. I do see a lot of kindness out there. But I mean, I think people a lot of times they're coming from a place of lack, and maybe they don't even realize how good they have it, you know, or they're scared, or they're struggling with their own self-esteem or their own personal issues. I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking about so many different variables here. What do you think?
I think there's a lack of awareness that people have. And again, because everything is so internal now, and it's difficult for people to see outside of themselves, because we tend to project our own thoughts and feelings onto other people instead of seeing, okay, just, you know, how many times do you put on a little facade and you're going through something inside, but outside you're smiling, but people forget just because somebody appears to be okay, it doesn't mean that they are. And I think people also don't realize how much of an impact, like that article that you read that says nobody's thinking about you. And that's the thing, is nobody else is thinking about the other people. And everything can make an impact. Like that encounter with the kind person that you had a 2-minute conversation with and never saw again, that could have changed the whole day for you and changed your whole mood. Or somebody else could have said something kind and that made you, maybe something you were insecure about, and it just shifted everything around. But our words and actions have so much effect on other people that a lot of times we aren't even aware of, because it could be that person that you don't even know who bought you a cup of coffee, and that you'll never know who that person was, but their actions had an effect on you. And that works positive and negative.
As you were talking, I've prepared another answer that I would like to say.
No,
it was a genuine question, and I was like, "That's deep. You're going deep on me. I have so many thoughts going through my head." But another thing that I would like to encourage our fans to do: stop watching the news. Because honestly, it creates so much anxiety and so much fear, and it's a lot of opinions and a lot of spinning and a lot of things that, in my opinion, are just going all over the place. And I'm not even going like toward politics or any of that. I'm just saying in general. I used to tell my husband all the time, I wish that we could start a network called the Good News Network, so that when you turn on the news, it's just like, this cat was rescued today, or this person got an A+ on their spelling bee or spelling test today, and just all kinds of great news.
I think that's a great idea.
Thank you. Maybe we'll do that.
I think that we should do a good news show or something.
Yeah, that would be really fun. Just all good news, everything, all good news. Because when you're watching the news, oh my gosh, I stopped watching the news. It's been, ever since 9/11. After that, I stopped watching the news. I was like, not that I don't want to be informed, but I just don't want to be inundated with all of that. And people ask me a lot of times, why are you so happy all the time? And I say, I don't watch the news. So that's one thing. But, and that's the other thing that was triggered as you girls were talking, was the whole thing about kindness. I think if you are watching and engaging in a lot of material that will heighten your anxiety and heighten your fear, or you spin things out of control in your mind, you kind of get lost in that, and it puts people in a really bad mood, or makes people feel come from a real negative thought process, versus if you are always thinking good things and wishing the best for other people, and you're putting yourself around other people who have a higher vibration and are also paying it forward and doing good things. That goes back to what you said, Amanda, where you said when you are volunteering and you're with other people who are volunteering, it's just like this whole energy, this whole vibe, you know, it's because those people are of that same mindset.
Well, and it's funny. So I'm trying to gather my thought here for a second. But one thing is, a lot of this sounds, you know, like we're hoping that humanity is still alive and that the good things are going to come. And here in Las Vegas, our community really came together a couple years ago.
Yes, it did.
When the October 1 shooting happened. That was the first time in all of the years that I've lived in Las Vegas that I felt there was an actual community here. And that it gave me a different sense of hope for this place and hopefully other places. Because when that happened, it's like then suddenly, because it hit it was home, and so many people were affected, and then they were willing to take action, and they, you know, the blood drives and stuff, they had to turn people away because they had more than they knew what to do with. And so many people at that point realized, okay, this was a tragedy. Now we need to band together and do things to help those who were affected by it. And now the hope, I think, ongoing is that people don't forget that. And it doesn't have to be such a huge tragedy to encourage people to do nice things and to help others, because people are always going through stuff like that.
I wonder too if just people don't know what to do and how they can help. I think that there are a lot of really good people who, if someone asked someone for help, they would help. But it's, and I've heard a lot of people saying, I want to help, I want to do something, I'm just not sure what to do, or I don't know how I can help. So I think that's something that what we're talking about today, I mean, we're touching on so many different ways to help. Hopefully we're sparking some, inspiration and some, I don't know, just
positive ideas.
Positive ideas. Thank you.
Forward.
Yes, exactly.
I think that one great thing would be to, if we could get a program in the schools going where they call it Kindness Day or something, and everyone has to maybe do a kindness and then do a report on it. You know, I think if it's something that is more instilled, that it becomes a very natural thing.
Yeah.
You know, they say if you do something for 21 days, it becomes a piece of you. Just like it's if you don't go to the gym and all of a sudden after that 21st day, okay, I've got to go to the gym tomorrow, day 22, you know, it becomes who you are. And I think that if everyone maybe took a moment to just do some kind of kindness, wave at someone. I mean, when you're driving your car, hey, you know, I think maybe it might become infectious.
It is. I agree with you completely. And I want to challenge our viewers and our listeners and say, what was your act of kindness that you did today? And it's not too late. So if you haven't thought of one, you know, smile at someone, high five someone.
Yeah, there you go.
Amanda loves it when we high five. It's her favorite thing. You know, just a compliment, a nice couple of words goes a long way.
Words go a really long way.
They really go a long way.
Yeah.
So
it's true, because you know when someone says something that's unkind to you, how that stays with you for so long. And you know, so many people find it okay to say hurtful things, where it's just so not okay to do that to someone else, to inflict their headspace by saying something that's not kind.
yeah.
So I just think it's really important. I know I try to, even if I'm not doing something kind for someone, I always like to think a positive thought, because, you know, they say energy follows thought. And if you can just put some positive energy out there, you know, I think that if we all were able to at least cut the negativity a little bit, we might be much better.
Absolutely. Let's dilute it.
All right.
Exactly.
I'm in. So where can people find you? Here's where we're going to let you just pitch yourself, share all your social
Here we
media
are.
and websites and all the good stuff.
Get ready.
Pay attention, everyone. Okay, so you can find us at www.dinosaurs with an S and androses.org. So that's our website where you can find out about our programs. you can come to 5220 West Charleston. That's between Charleston between Jones and Decatur, right next door to the Burger King in case you're hungry. Need a little snacky, some fries.
Can buy somebody some
Yeah. Drive through, buy someone some fries. There you go. And you can reach us at 702-277-3752. You can ask for Michele and tell them that you saw me on this fantastic podcast.
Yes, the Womanpreneur podcast.
And I'll tell you what, if you mention it, I'm going to give you a 50% discount on anything across the board in the store. Anytime, 6 days a week that we're open. If you come and say you saw me, just say, yeah, Michele in the red jacket. Everybody knows me. I love red. I have a red car, red shoes, red purse, red everything. So if you just say, yeah, she was wearing red, that girl that wears red all the time or that drives that red car, I will give you 50% off of everything that you want.
Wow.
So that could be incentive. And if you don't love thrifting and you don't love to be that kind of stuff and you want everything brand new, go out and buy a whole bunch of brand new stuff and donate it. Or buy a bunch of brand new stuff and clean out your closet and your cupboard and your garage and your attic and donate that stuff. So therefore it just kind of goes in a great cycle.
You have options, lots and lots of options.
Well,
Yes.
you truly are a generous spirit and just a lovely, lovely human being.
Thank
and I'm
you so
so
much.
happy we got to meet you and talk with you and share today. Thanks for
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me. And I wish you guys the most amazing success with this and
thank you.
get the word out there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning into the Womanpreneur podcast. Until next time, you've got this.